Well, here we are again. That time of the week, Wednesday. And let's see here, we've got Suki in the house. Looks like Stryker's in. The talented Miss Tam. And people will want to pay attention to her comments in chat tonight. We got a little something planned. Trooper Bry! Shout out to the Stealth Digger Bry, Ohio Relic Hunter, Gary Heckman. So, we've got a few people in. We'll see, maybe. I have not heard yet. The tornadoes that touched down in Mississippi last week, unfortunately, there were 12 fatalities. A couple of them right near the Dirtbandit, but Dirtbandit and his family are fine. Hopefully he'll make it in tonight. I have not seen or heard from him, though. So, we'll see how it goes. Also, side note, speaking of tornadoes, if people haven't noticed on Facebook, there is currently a fundraiser going for Dick Stout. Unfortunately, his home suffered some massive damages. There again, family made it out okay, even the dog. So they are trying to raise some funds for them while they are staying with relatives until they can kind of figure out what's going on. We'll see how that goes with them, though. And let's see here. It does look like, in fact, yes, I do believe we are accompanied by the Dirtbandit.
That would be correct.
Well, hello, sir. Also, we do have Mr. Leighton Harrington as well.
Good evening.
Good evening to you, sir. We were just discussing, Kenny. We weren't sure if you were going to be able to make it due to the tornadoes in Mississippi last week.
Yeah, that was it was an unfortunate event down here. I think about 12 people lost their lives, and that is always a bad thing, obviously. And it got a lot of homes. I believe we even have one, if not more, detectors that was affected by those storms. And,
in Mississippi?
Yes.
Wow.
The names I don't have yet, but yeah, it was something else, and it was just a bad situation. But you know what? Things move on. So, as you can tell, I have a light out over here, so the video is not very clear, but, here we are, ready to talk the hobby.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Oh, and I see that, Mr. Chuck Smalley is in the chat. Hopefully, he'll be hearing from me in a couple of days.
Good.
But yeah, and speaking of Chuck, he is also one of the gentlemen that shared the fundraiser that is going around for Dick Stout. I know he's shared it, Dave Wine, myself. There's been a number of people that have shared that post, and it looks like there's a lot of support out there for him, so that's good. Dick has done quite a bit for the hobby, quite a long time in the hobby himself. And I believe the founder, or one of the founding forces of the FMDAC, which assists us in our metal detecting rights. Always an important part of the hobby, definitely.
You gotta have it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's a great hobby. I can't debate that fact. But sometimes we do have to kind of police ourselves.
Well, you have to for the betterment of the hobby, because You know, you should have everybody knows the overall ethics that is required for this hobby without even having bylaws or anything. It's just common sense. It's what I call the common sense rules that we all have. But I can actually see us being forced to have bylaws per state, our own bylaws, as individuals to have to go by. I can see that coming.
Well, and, we do see that on, unfortunately, an increasing basis with more and more legislation that people try to mount against the hobby. That's why anytime we can do something good with the hobby, absolutely get it out there for people to see. Don't look at it as, oh, I'm blowing my own horn or something. We're doing what we can to help preserve the hobby in a good light. Whether it's helping archaeologists, whether it's returning rings, say you find, a soldier's old dog tag or something.
Yeah, and the thing about that is that when somebody pulls something out of the ground, it's like, oh, I've got this. When all reality is the only thing that relic or that piece of history belongs to is history itself, and that's how you have to represent it. It's a piece of history. A history owns it. You found it. You were privileged enough to find it, and you need to look at it that way.
Right. And we've all been there before. I know Leighton's had the opportunity to return a number of rings himself.
Oh yeah, over the years I've been pretty lucky to be able to do, more engagement rings than anything else.
Right.
Strangely.
Well, and that may seem strange, but I'm sure it works in the same concept as like the wedding bands. If I remember right, the statistics were something like 6 out of 10 men usually wind up losing or misplacing their ring, like their wedding band, within, say, the first 6 months. Because you're just not used to wearing it. It's a new thing.
Right. A lot of them don't have them properly measured, too, I would imagine.
Exactly.
And then that time of their life, I'm sure, they're losing weight, gaining weight, there's a little bit of stress. So, there's a lot going on with the human being at that time. So
absolutely.
That could be one of the reasons. Could be one of the reasons why the women are losing their engagement rings also, too.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I believe that statistic was for men, but you can guarantee there's just as many women doing it, too.
Well, especially the ones that come in 2 pieces. I mean...
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. So, they're out there, the engagement rings, the wedding rings, the promise rings, even just the memento rings.
Now, the first thing Krista did was it's a 2-piece set that goes together, makes a heart and a diamond and all that. And first thing she did was she had it tacked together.
Oh, nice. Definitely.
Yeah, I've seen that too, Ken, where, a lot of times they have them soldered together with the same type of material that they're made out of.
Right.
I've never found a double ring, though. I will say that. I can't say. I found a mother's ring that was made of, I believe, probably the woman who owned it was probably her mother's ring, and then it was her wedding band, and then she had 3 different stones for each one for each child, a red, a green, and a diamond. But it was 2 size rings that were actually welded together. That's the only one that I ever found that was actually, adhered to each other. That were 2 sizes.
Nice.
It's pretty cool.
Definitely. And we've got a caller. How's it going?
Hey, Josh. It's Jim down here in sunny, rainy Florida. How are you doing up there?
We're chilling out at somewhere in the 30s, I believe.
That's too bad.
Oh, yeah. Well, we got that down in my kitchen, down in my freezer. That's the only place it's in the 30s right now. Here.
Wow.
But it does get cold here. I mean, it's not like it doesn't get cold here.
Well, at least we know the
anyway.
ice cream's safe.
Right,
Well, in certain
right.
places.
And I've been down there in Florida during the wintertime because that's basically when you go. And
Oh yeah,
you know, I've seen where they've had to water down the oranges and stuff to protect them.
Absolutely. Well, that happens once in a while. When there's a freeze warning, they get out there and they want the ice to freeze around the oranges, and that actually, oddly enough, the ice creates a protective barrier against freezing. I could
Sure
never quite
does.
figure that one out, but well, we have
Permafrost.
I know, yeah. Well, you know, since the holidays, you know, I hunt the Atlantic beaches over here near Cape Canaveral and Cocoa Beach, and I have noticed one of the big problems we have here right now. And I get all you know, because I'm an old guy, so I get all fuzzed up and all self-righteous about it. But you know, all my other members are like, you know, calm down, Jim. I'm like, right. You know, you find guys, and they're not the older guys. They're the younger guys, the 20s and 30s, that are out there with new metal detectors, obviously a Christmas present, digging holes in the beach. Now, when we dig on the beach here in Florida, we cover the holes up. We don't leave a pit. Because, believe it or not, up here, people ride their bicycles. The sand is hard enough to ride your bicycles. You guys got on skateboards, the sailboards, riding up and down the beach. You could really get hurt if you hit a hole. You know, and the holes we dig are small, not like the kids that dig an Olympic swimming pool out there.
Right, going out there with a garden shovel or something.
Right.
Right.
I mean, but you know, I've been finding guys the other day, a couple days ago. I saw a couple guys throwing dirt in the air. I started coming up on old cans. We get old cans that are half rotted. You know, they pull them up off the beach, a couple inches deep, and leave them laying on the traffic lane of the beach. And I actually went up to them and I said, you know, you guys got to stop this. And they're like, yeah, I can't tell us what to do, you know, the old man, you know, that sort of thing. And I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, it's not those of us that are in the hobby long term that are going to cause this hobby to crash and burn. It's the newbies that show up. Right. And same thing, we got another kid over here in a park, pulling a chain out of the ground with one of those low cost detectors. He's iron chain, he's pulling it all across the park. And I'm thinking, if the park ranger sees this in that metal detector, we're all going to be banned from ever going near one of these parks again. So I don't know what the solution is. I just wondered if you guys could think of anything.
Well, actually, Jim,
jail.
You know what, Jim? Part of the solution is talking about it, and that's really good, because if we don't make them aware of what they're doing in such a nice manner, like as what you were just doing, they're going to continue doing it. So glad you brought it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, anyway, you know me. I'm out there like, you know, we're covering up holes and we're making sure we're having, you know, the FMDC. The Florida, you know, the Central Florida Metal Detecting Club. You know, we do evidence hunts and we do everything we can to promote the hobby responsibly. And in some cases, I run into a dead wall, even talking to people. You know, they want to hear it. You know, and you know, these are the folks that are going to stick their metal detector in the closet in 3 months because all they're finding is junk. You know, they're not serious. And the damage to our hobby it could be
is already done.
Yeah, I think it is, Josh. Pretty much. I don't have any more answers.
And that's one thing about it, though. Like Leighton said, it's a good thing you brought it up, because sometimes people they think this stuff is not happening. And unfortunately, the first step is admitting there's a problem. We can't fix it if we don't know it's broke.
Right.
That's right. Right. The first way back from being crazy is knowing you're crazy, right, Josh?
Right? Yeah.
Or at least admitting it.
Right.
Yeah, or at least that's right, Leighton. Admitting it is the big thing. Knowing you have a problem.
Yep. That's right.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
How you making out down there? You doing any good hunting down that way or what?
Well, you know, we have it's odd over here near Cape Canaveral with the rockets coming and going. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, SpaceX is they're bringing rockets back now. I mean, it doesn't just drop in the ocean out of sight. They come back, put the landing gear down, and land on pad 13. So every once in a while, you'd be walking up the beach and hear this rumble and look up, and this bright thing goes over your head with the landing gear hanging out. It's like,
Wow.
man, things are changing. But
That
the
has
beaches in
got
Cape
to be an experience.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean they're high enough not to feel any heat, but you know you're waiting for a big boom when it goes over, you know. But the beaches down here, Yeah, the beaches down here have been experienced over the last month or so. A big draw. We've had a lot of rip currents and things pulling sand out. You know, they did a renourishment project about 3 years ago on Cape Canaveral Beach, and it put everything out of range. You know, 3, 5, 6 feet of sand. And in those last couple of years, it's all been pulled out. We're down to the hard pan. I'm hitting clay. So we're finding a lot of rings and a lot of old stuff, you know. But the conditions change in 3 days.
Right.
You have 3 feet of sand back over there. Now,
That's
I'm
amazing.
retired.
So the currents have kind of pulled the repunishment away.
Right. Whenever we get a northeast wind for any length of time, the surf will get to almost 6 to 8 feet, and it'll pull sand out. And then a couple hours before low tide, you go out there and you just dig coins and rings and jewelry. That's all you do.
Wow.
You know? And it's old stuff. It's been down there for a while.
Right.
And then by summertime, right, it'll all be back on. There'll be another 5, 6 feet of sand there, and it'll be covered up. So.
Yeah, because
if you guys are down to hard pan, any
clay.
Okay, down to the clay, any Spanish silver showing up?
No, but we've been finding some pieces of copper sheeting here and there. You know, we have some wrecks off Cape Canaveral. Matter of fact, the 1715 plate fleet that went down south of Melbourne, south of here, they actually put all the silver coins. They stored most of them in a warehouse right across the inlet here, right where the Space Center is, right on that beach. So occasionally we'll see pieces of copper come up, ship spikes here and there. When we have a hurricane, especially like that Hurricane Sandy that went through here, it wasn't much to us, but really knocked a little stuffing on New York.
Right.
But that drew a lot of sand off. We were finding lots of copper sheathing and ship spikes and things.
Yeah, because of for people who may not know, when that went down, they tried to recover what they could and tried to store it all in a shack on the beach until they could wait for someone to come back for it.
Right.
You know, kind of guard it.
A couple of pirate ships came up and took all of it, most of it.
Yeah, figured they'd help them out.
I know. Well, they've been down south of us down here. There's a family down there that was, I think it was at the Kellyco thing. We had the 60-year anniversary. They're digging up gold coins by the bucket load down near Wabaco Beach, a little bit south of what is it? Melbourne, along that area. We call them the treasure beaches.
Nice.
You never know. You find cobs and things down there once in a while, but not regularly. It's a good hobby.
I can see Leighton thinking right now, gold coins.
Yeah. I thought I saw him pick up an airline ticket there.
Well, it's funny you say that.
he was looking back, eyeing the X-Cal.
What could I make the cannons out of next time?
That's right. Gold.
I use my X-Cal regularly on the beach too. I got to rewire it, but the X-Cal works well. I use my wife's AT Pro once in a while, and I use the E-Track.
I love that thing.
I got a number of detectors.
Nice. Very
well,
good.
I got a call today, Jim. Jim, I got a call from I should say a text from a friend of mine who asked me if I had seen someone had pulled a gold 8 escudo off of one of the beaches, and I also saw a post with an 8 real that was found yesterday. So I'm not sure where. I think it was Sebastian up that way.
You're talking about the Treasure Beaches blog there. My buddy down in Melbourne, he puts that stuff out.
Yeah, I guess that was Melbourne.
You find one of those 8 escudo coins, that's about $85,000 minimum right there.
Jeez. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to come out of the camps for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be good for the day.
Well,
absolutely.
You know, it's low tide's a good time. We've had guys go down there and buy $60 worth of zinc pennies and throw handfuls for a couple of miles.
Oh my God!
One of our members from Daytona caught somebody doing that just for fun, and I think he ended up clonking him in his beach scoop.
Well, I was about to say I don't know how my limitations would be on that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Well, but you never know. You find a lot of Yeah, you find a lot of ship spikes down there, and
Yeah.
copper sheathing again keeps coming up. So
Nice.
it's and one thing that you watch for that really know you're getting down low in the Atlantic Ocean hunting is you start finding sea glass. You find red and blue pieces of glass that are all worn down, looks like jewelry almost.
I've seen
And that
those.
means you're really low. That stuff sinks right to the clay base. And I'm like,
Right.
wow. So, I'm out there all day, all night. My wife's like, you ever coming home? I'm like, I don't know. Send me a tent.
Depends.
Send me a tent. Send me a tent and some food and some drinks.
And a couple
Yeah,
of people
exactly.
to
Back for a
dig.
while.
If I'm not back next week, just wait longer.
Right.
That's
Well,
right.
and I've got her detector. She's like, where's my machine? I'm like, I don't know.
Haven't seen it.
I don't know where it went.
Yep.
Maybe it's in the car.
That's crazy.
So, but anyway,
That's-
it's good hearing you guys. This is the last show of the year, right, Josh? You guys got some champagne there, and you're having a couple of shots or something?
My champagne tonight is Monster Rehab and orange juice.
Monster Rehab. That's nice.
Monster Rehab.
Yeah,
I had
I'm coming out
I
from
had,
a head cold.
I had a couple of cups of ginseng tea, and then now I'm hitting the water. So
There you go.
Yeah. Party down, Ken.
that's right.
That's
man.
right. Hardcore.
Hardcore,
I
man.
know. Yeah. Oh, look, I was listening to your last show. Not that I have a lot of gripes or anything about it. It was a good show, but you're talking about, I forget I think somebody was talking about they didn't want their father to use a coin probe or something. Who was that? Who said that?
No, it wasn't that
I want
we're
his address, man. Tell me where he lives.
It wasn't that we were saying we didn't want them to use a coin probe. It was
Hold on,
the
let me-
fact of it's an extra step that's an unnecessary step anymore with the precision of the new technology we have available. And the fact that if you're not careful with it, you can seriously damage a valuable coin.
Well, there is some truth to that. You can, especially with a homemade probe. But most of the probes that I use, and Patty the other day when I was saying, she says, you use that thing all the time. I'm like, don't tell anybody. But even with my pinpointer, because a lot of the parks we go to down here, just say, there's a lot of parks will get shallow coins. They're a couple inches deep.
Right.
And rather than dig a hole in the grass, and my probe has got a ground off rounded tip on it. And
Oh yeah, it's
I
always
usually-
better to have
yeah.
the rounded
I'll
tip.
stick it under there right and lift the coin out, pop it out, rather than dig. If it's
Right.
a couple inches deep. So I use the probe a lot, at least in Florida. You may not have that problem up there in Ohio where grass only grows like for a month and then
Well,
the
see,
snow covers it.
Anymore up here in Ohio, a lot of the targets that I'm looking for are, and that was kind of how we got on to the topic last week. They're really, for most of your standard coin probes, they're out of reach for the probe and pop.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you're out there looking for targets that are 8, 9, 10 inches deep,
Oh, yeah. A probe would be no local tangible. It would
Yeah.
not work.
It's useless.
yeah. Now, sure,
well, I got you.
if you're in a local park digging up clad, they're quarters, 2, 3 inches, probe and pop may still work just fine.
Yeah.
But other than
Well,
that,
it's one reason I carry the coin probe is because I bought one of those side carry things that are holstered, and
Right.
it has a special pocket just for the coin probe.
right.
Wow.
That's one reason I carry it, just because I have a pocket and it has to be filled with something. So maybe it's just for looks. It's just for looks, I think. Maybe half the
Well, and for me, I mean, it's just extra space that's taken up in a pouch that I can fill with more finds.
There you go.
That's true.
There you go.
Good
I
point.
just
Sure,
got a
it just
probe
seems-
because I just got one. I've never used one, and but I've got one because some of these camps up here, fire pits is one thing, but the trash pits is always on the perimeter most of the time of the camps, because they don't want the trash
Yeah.
around their tent, so they carry them out.
Right.
And there's a lot of good stuff in there. So, and sometimes it takes a probe, and I've listened to a lot of the old timers around here, and all of them use them. And I figured, well, I'll give it a
All
shot.
those
Well, And we should probably mention, too, there's a big difference between a coin probe and a privy probe.
Right.
You know, like if you're digging a trash pit using a probe, you're talking, you know, a couple feet as opposed to like 7 inches.
Tubes.
Right.
Well, we also use them because, like, my wife, you know, she still doesn't, you know, she gets a good signal on the AT Pro, and she'll dig it, and it's a flattened beer can, and she's like, hey, it's giving me a good signal, you know. Like,
they will
use the probe. Yeah, use the probe, because most of the beer cans here are like maybe 5-6 inches deep, you know. And
right.
you stick the probe down there, and boom, 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 and like I said, you know, if you got a 5-inch square, you know, don't dig it. You know,
right.
You know, now probably I just told her not to dig up a 6-inch deep thing of coins, and that was the top. You know, I don't even want to know.
Yeah, now she just passed up that mason jar of silver dollars.
Man, you just can't win, man. It's always a walking the razor's edge, you know.
That's right. Sword. That's right.
Yeah.
Well,
the reason why I brought that up last week, Jim, was because I was saying my dad.
That's right, Leighton.
Back in the 70s, he had dug a 1913 barber quarter, and he scratched it right across the face. So, you know, and he still does use it. I will admit he still uses it, and I keep trying to tell him up here that, you know, it is an extra step. He's going to dig the little plug anyway. What's he wasting his time for?
Yeah,
most of our coins. Yeah, most of our coins are 8, 9, 10 inches deep up here.
Yeah, see, it's back to the whole location thing, you know, particular situations.
Right. So that was my point. It was only to avoid the scratching of a possible good coin. That was the only reason I brought it.
Yeah, well, if my father had done that, I probably would have taken his probe and snapped it right there. You know, if that happened to me, I can see your point. I would have snapped it and say, go back to the car. Go back and sit down and think about what you did.
Yep, that's it. You're grounded.
Yeah. Well, you know, he took a
battery.
Took a $300 coin and made it into a $100 coin real quick. So
yeah,
he thought twice about that after that.
Right.
I would have had to pour cold water over my head for a while after that.
Yeah.
But you know what? The man. But you know what, Jim? He's 84 years old. If he chooses to use a probe for the next 10 years, God bless him.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. Well, he's earned that right.
Yep.
No doubt.
My dad's 88, you know, and he thinks he invented probe. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, he's pretty crabby, but he still can dig.
That's okay.
Nothing wrong with that.
He can anger them out of the ground sometimes. He just gets mad and they pop out, you know. They don't want to deal with it.
There you go.
But anyway, well, you guys have a good New Year's. I got to run.
All right. Happy New Year, Jim.
All right. Happy New Year to you, Jim.
Stay safe.
Feel better. Talk to you guys again. Hang in there.
Don't get a sunburn or anything.
Well, and Happy New Year to him and Patty and all of them down there at the CFMD. Sure. Definitely a good group of people. Well, now let's see, drop back to the chat here real quick and see there are a number of people in the chat. I'm not
able to do the chat thing this evening, and hopefully next week I'll have that up and running.
Right. As long as the talented Miss Tam is still in the chat, we've got a little giveaway for those in the chat, which she can let people know about that, hopefully, and when to start that. And she will announce the winner in the chat.
Right.
It'll be, I'll leave that up to her. We'll see what happens. Hopefully she catches that and takes care of that. And we had another nice little giveaway package lined up that I had some things come up today, so I couldn't quite get it all ironed out before the show. Those who are members of the Beyond Sight and Sound group, you'll see that after the show went live, there was a post made saying post up entries here. Details on tonight's show. What I want to see as a comment to that post is a photo of your best or favorite find of 2015 and why it's your best or favorite find. Maybe it's the new detector you just got under the tree. Maybe it's a nice coin you found. Maybe it's a ring you returned. Just post them up there. We'll leave that run, maybe 2 weeks, something like that. We'll go through, and one lucky person will receive a nice little prize pack, courtesy of our friends at Mind Lab and Beyond Sight and Sound. And we're looking at over $100 value.
Wow.
Nice.
Which maybe I can post some more details up later, but that's what we're going to roll with for now. Won't give out what the prize pack contains necessarily. Kind of keep it a surprise, and then when you receive it, if you are deemed winner, you can post up a picture and let everybody see what it is. Value may not necessarily be the win, it may be the story. It may be the fact that it's just an interesting find. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. So that's something on that front as well. And let's see what's going on here. Okay. Excuse me. And metal detectors and their woes.
Ooh.
Yeah. We've got some newcomers to the hobby. Maybe we've got some people that have been in the hobby for a while. They just got themselves a new machine. What do you think is one of the biggest obstacles or easiest traps to fall into? Either just getting into the hobby with the machine or just getting a new machine.
I can touch on that.
All right.
I tell you, I think one of the biggest reasons that people either quit the hobby, give up on the hobby, or trade off for a different machine is they can't make it that 100th hour of learning the machine that they have. You got to have the patience. You got to go through everything. You got to dig a lot of holes, and you have to learn that machine, because if you start telling yourself that this machine is not working right, then it's going to sound like it doesn't. It's just how it operates. I mean, if you're positive about what's going on, and you're learning those signals, and we'll touch later probably in the halo effect in some of these holes that iron can generate. But if you take 100 hours and you just study that machine, the odds of you staying with that machine and finding, whether it's relics, coins, or whatever, is a lot higher if you'll just hang with it.
Right. And I believe maybe, and I've heard the statistic go both ways. I've heard some people say 100 hours, like yourself. I've heard some people say 1,000 hours. But the best teacher that you're going to have for that machine, read the books, talk to people, whatever, but none of that compares to real-time in-field experience.
No doubt.
You have to give yourself the time to learn that machine. Understand what it's trying to tell you.
Well, that brings up that point that we spoke about earlier, in our other shows too, Josh. 3 main things: tone, depth, and then VDI.
Right.
Tone, repeatable, dig it. Look at the depth. If you want to start cherry picking, get a little bit more use under your belt, you get that good repeatable tone. If the depth is 6, 7, 8 inches, it's going to be something decent. or it should be at least. And then, if you, right. And then if you want to start really, critiquing your digging abilities, check out that VDI. Make sure it's a good target all the way around. Those 3 things should tell you whether you should be on your knees digging.
Right. And have the decent tools to go get it.
Absolutely. Throw that probe away.
Or that Walmart shovel.
There you go.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's true too. Definitely.
At least where I'm at.
Yeah.
Because and I think, and this is not to say that this is the case with everybody. Right. But some people, once they get a screen machine in their hands, they're a bit intimidated or overwhelmed by all the bells and whistles.
Right. Well, they're looking at, there's so much information on that screen nowadays that I can see how it can be intimidating. They're looking at the depth. They're looking at the VDI. They're listening to the tones. I try not to look at the screen so much, even after so many years in the field. And it happened with me with the V3i. It was a tough machine to learn. It really, really was. But once we ended up with the Mine Lab, for some reason, it just really all fell into place for me right away.
Right. Absolutely.
There's a number of machines out there too, the starter machines, if you choose to call them that, that, the Garrett 250, Ace 250, for example. There's different ones that they put out, and it's a tone machine, and it helps you to have that to learn, the tones.
Right.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Sometimes, like Leighton said, with the technology that we have today, we have more information available and at our disposal than we ever have in the hobby. But sometimes you get a machine with a lot of different settings, and some people, they're hands-on, and they think, hey, we automatically got to start tweaking this and doing that. And I mean, the detectors, and not saying that, not bashing any brand or anything like that, they're all going to find items out of the box.
And have.
Right. Move into it slow. Because some people, they tweak around a bunch of different settings, and before you know it, the machine's falsing, it's unstable, and they're going, oh great, what did I do? Well, by that point, you've changed so many settings, you don't know what you did. You gotta do a reset on the machine, or some people get so frustrated with it that they just throw it in the closet. It starts collecting dust.
Correct. And not everybody's the same. I mean, some people, they hear tones differently. Some machines they can relate to better than the other machine their buddy has. Yeah. You just got to find that machine.
Yeah, some tones may not be as noticeable to some people. Maybe they have issues hearing certain tones or something like that. Some people, they're just not comfortable with the tones they're hearing. I mean, I don't know how many people say they go out and they get an E-Track. Well, that's a multi-tone machine, and they say, oh my God, all the racket, I just wanted to wrap it around a tree. They're just not comfortable. Now, for me, I love the tones of a Mine Lab.
Oh yeah, man. I'm like, hell, let's start digging.
Right. Some people, maybe it's a bit much. That's why there's that advantage, not to dumb it down or anything, but to kind of simplify. Go to 2 or 3 tones, get used to that. Go to 5 tones, get used to that, or however many tones your machine is capable of.
Right.
I've seen it with DFX users, I've seen it with V3i users, AT Pro users, E-Track, CTX, Deus. We have so much information available that some people fall into that trap of machine intimidation, or they overcomplicate things.
You know, Josh, you can actually, that machine's telling you something. It's having a conversation with you. And when I get into the iron, I'm looking for, actually looking for iron, a fire pit, whatever. And, because if there's iron there, then they've been individuals there. So finding iron is a good thing. But when you got the iron audio on, and, you know, whether it's the AT Pro, AT Gold, or Deus, and that thing's, and then you get in that zone of hearing that, and all of a sudden, bing! I mean, there it is, right in the middle of all that growl. And I get real excited when that happens.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure, there again, like we said, location, you know,
Absolutely.
particular situations. I'm sure there's times when Leighton's out hunting. Once he starts hearing them iron grunts, okay, you know, now it's time to slow down, get into that stuff, listen close.
Absolutely.
Because tone's gonna win out over VDI pretty much every time.
Absolutely.
The information we have available to us is great information to have. Like Leighton said, you know, tone, depth, VDI. Check those for, that's usually the way I hunt. You know, I'm listening for the tones. Then I may check the depth. And then, you know, has maybe a little bit of a secondary reference or something, maybe check the VDI just to see that way. Because, you know, when you post an item, a lot of times people say, oh, hey, wow, that's kind of neat. What did that ring up like?
Right. That's a very popular question. But, you know, something else, too, is the reason a lot of people give up is not just what makes them aggravated at some of these tones is their own physical shape, like fatigue. If you get in there and you're not comfortable, and you're hurting or whatever, you tend to want to pass things up you not normally would. And, you know, it could be solved as easily. Do I have the shaft adjusted correctly? And why am I stooped over when I could lengthen the shaft and stand up straight and use a harness? They're available on these machines. Just a little things like that will help.
Oh yeah, absolutely, I agree. The other day, Leighton and I had even been talking, much like you said, you know, fatigue starts to set in. And you start to, sometimes you start to double guess yourself, second guessing. You know, do I dig it? Do I not? Oh, I don't know if I really don't feel like cutting through, you know, 9 inches of root or something for another, what may be undesirable target.
Right. And that happens to everybody except, now if that's 7 hours into the hunt, well, we're all like that. But I mean, if you're doing that after being there an hour, there's an issue.
Right. And then, you know, you find yourself wondering, did I just walk on a good target?
Yeah, I can't do that.
Right. And if you're gonna, you know, whether you're taking 15 feet and starting to think that, or finishing out your day, going home and wondering what had happened, you know, gee, should I have dug that target? Should I not have dug that target? You know, what do we do? Then, you know, at that point, you're just beating yourself up.
Yeah, you are. I have hunted literally. I'm guilty of hunting too long. And like a lot of us are. And if you ever reach the point where you like grab a rock, one that you can notice and put it right where you had that signal because you're just too tired to dig it, you got to start, kind of adjusting your dig time there.
Right. You have to build up trust and confidence in your machine so that when you walk on that target, if you walk on that target, you're not beating yourself up.
Right.
You're not second guessing it.
I will say this: if you walk away and you feel like you should have dug it, turn around.
Right. You should
Turn
have
around and
dug
dig it. You know, if you should have dug it, you should have dug it. That's the bottom line. Get
Maybe
back
the
here and
gold
start
coin
digging.
you never dug.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah, you don't want to get home and,
Yeah.
you know,
And
beat
wish you-
yourself up thinking you walked away from the
Oh.
great white whale, so to speak.
Yeah, and you know, here's another thing too. Touch on is that recovery speed. You know, or your swing speed, I should say.
Right.
Give that process a time to work and tell you what it's really all about. I found myself doing it today. My son and I went out. We were out there for a few hours, and I was just trying to swing fairly fast to try to find an area to settle down in and kind of throw out the anchor, as I usually say. But, you know, after 2 hours, he said to me, "Dad, you're all over the place today. What's going on?" I just couldn't get in the groove. I just could not get in the groove. And as much as I hate to admit it, he outdid me today. So, you know, I'll chalk it up to experience and, you know, learn to practice what I preach and slow down a little bit. And when I did slow down, I did manage, you know, some silver and a whole lot of wheat pennies and everything. I just could not get in the groove today for some reason. But slowing down definitely works.
Hey,
His
you
own
know,
was
though,
missing you.
Yeah.
and especially with that being Nick that kind of took point today and showed you up a little bit. You've at
He
least
showed me
got
up
the
a lot of bit.
you've at least got the consolation of going home going, yeah, that's my boy.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
That's right.
That's right.
I taught him well.
Yeah, well, in fact, he even said that on the Facebook page. I learned from the best, so I took it as a nice compliment. But my point is slow down and give that process a time to work. You know, and we all say this all the time. Treasure is under your coil. It's not way over there, across the street, over in the next door's yard. It's always right where you find it. But today I just was not there. Mentally I wasn't there. We were hunting a new park. It wasn't in the best part of town. So, you know, you're always constantly looking over
One
your
eye
back.
over the shoulder.
Yeah. So there was a lot to factor in, and I'm not trying to make excuses because I was going fast. But once I did slow down towards the end of the day, like you were saying, Ken, a little bit earlier, you know, when you're going slower like that, it always pans out to be the best part of the day.
That's right, because usually about that 5th to 7th hour, you find more than you do the whole day. It really does.
That's right. That's right.
That is true.
So
I mean,
getting in the groove today
good
was
example.
tough.
Good example. Last week, actually, or maybe it was the week before. What'd you say? You had an Indian, but you had also come out with multiple silvers. But for the first 3 hours or so,
Yeah, there was hardly anything.
right?
Yep, that's right. And I don't know if it was due to the fact, I mean, you know, there was a lot of factors that day. It was really cold. We had actually hit that same area. It was only about 1,000 square foot area. But I'll tell you what, Nick pulled a large scent out of there the other day too. And we have been in that spot now for about 5 days in that particular spot. So he pulled a largie out of there. Now, go figure, right? Here we are. I myself personally gridded it one way. I went back the next day. I pulled 7 more silvers out, gridding the opposite direction. And then I diagonally did it and pulled out these Indians and another 2 silvers, which were barbers. And the 4th day, there was 2 other guys that showed up unexpectedly, asked if we had been getting anything. I said, you know, we were getting a few goodies. But it was already the 3rd or 4th day that we were there. And so they kind of moseyed on off to the side of us. And Nick came up right behind me, right to the side of me, I should say, where I had just passed over, and he pulled out a largie, an 1831 largie. So, you know, if you don't go over it, you don't get it, right?
That's right. Miss it by an inch, miss it by a mile.
Absolutely. So it goes to show you. And I can't wait. I think that's where I'm going to go tomorrow to end the year. I'm going to go back again.
And especially when you're looking for those deep targets,
Yeah.
your coil has footprint at times,
Correct.
depending on what coil you're using for those
Correct.
deeper targets. So it is real easy to swing over it and miss it.
That's right. That's right. Just because the top of it is just because you're using an 11-inch coil doesn't mean you're getting 11 inches penetrated.
Right.
It's just surface fines. As you know, it's kind of like an elliptical round end at the bottom, so you're getting only maybe 2 or 3 inch pattern footprint at the bottom, whereas there might be a 10 or 11 at the top.
Right.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah. Another reason why sometimes it is good to go slow. Make sure you're
Absolutely.
overlapping your sweeps. Like you said, got to swing it a little faster than maybe I should have been. And it's easy to get excited, you know,
Oh,
and start swinging a little faster, stuff like that.
well, what got me excited the first day was that I had pulled, by the end of the day, obviously, I had 7 silvers the first day, and I ended up with 8 the second day, so I had 15, and then the following day I only ended up with 2. But that first day was what really got me excited because I was getting the really old stuff. I got that, the colonial button very, very deep, over 12 inches deep.
Wow.
And then I pulled out those 2 seated dimes only 10 feet apart. So I was really ecstatic over that. I love the seated stuff. Don't get me wrong. I like the bobbers and the Mercs, but those seated ones really turned me on. So I was really hoping that maybe this year I could pull off one more maybe cap bust, but no luck that day. But that's what really got me going crazy that day.
The year's not over yet.
No, it isn't. One more day.
Speaking of which, what is the current total on the tribe?
184. I don't think I'm going to do 16 tomorrow.
Right. Who knows?
You gave it a hell of a try, though. You never know.
Yeah, 184 Indian head pennies this year. Absolutely crazy. Now, for those people that think that, you know what, Ken? For those people, this is a perfect example. These are 2 parks that I've been hunting, with the exception of another one that I hunted today a little bit. Nick pulled an Indian out of there. These are parks that we've been going to for over 40 plus years. So technology, slowing down a little bit, learning your machine, listening to what those tones are telling you to do, swinging slow. All these little tiny things add up to one big picture. Silver.
Exactly.
So
technology and technique.
Yeah, it's never hunted out, and it wouldn't surprise me to pull another 1 or 2 silvers out of there in that same 1,000 square foot patch that that I stumbled upon. I think it was where the parade route all gathered at the end of the parades. It was right at the beginning of the park. I think that they also, because they also had circuses there over the years, they had carnivals, they have yard sales there, or some people call them tag sales. So there's a lot of congregational people there. It's not uncommon to see the 4th of July have 15,000 to 20,000 people in that park at one time. So,
so half of them drop something? No.
Absolutely.
3/4 of them drop something.
That's right. And you know what, Ken? If it rains and somebody drops something right away and somebody else steps on it, because you're all packed in there, you're never going to see it. So that's why we get to find it.
And that's another
I've been working
good
on a
point.
lawnmower and dropped a bolt, and I know I dropped it right by my foot, and it'd take me a half hour to even get lucky to find it.
And that's another good point. You got to stop and figure too. We see posts all the time on Facebook because we like to post our finds. We like to share what we're finding, stuff like that. Some people, they may post a little more often than others. It may seem like some people do considerably better than others. You see their posts more often or something like that. You've got to stop and remember, though, location, location, location.
Right.
You know, I may hunt a park that, say, had 5,000 people go through it in, say, a weekend, and I'll find items, sure. Maybe even some older ones, depending on the age of the area and the number of people who have been through in the past. I'm not as densely populated of an area as some of these other areas that people hunt. So, when you take that into factor, now say go to a park that's had 100 years of history, 200 years,
Yeah.
whether it was a park all that time or not, that's had, say, 25,000 people go through it in a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
It's a numbers game. You know,
Oh,
greater
perfect.
numbers, greater concentration of people equals more fines.
Well,
Absolutely.
we touched a little bit on this yesterday when you and I spoke. Remember, I was telling you there was a particular area just outside of Boston that was considered the first part of Cape Cod. It really wasn't, but that was their destination. They thought that was Cape Cod at the time, back in the early 1800s, late 1700s. That's where everybody migrated to that particular beach. Over the years, they've had carousels, they've had, you know, you name it,
Gatherings, festivals.
they had a boardwalk right on the beach. There's tons and tons of coinage there. The reason is because over those past 200 years, it's not uncommon to see 100,000 people on that beach on any Saturday or Sunday. You cannot even find a parking spot within 10 miles. They actually close the streets down. That's how popular. Now, do the math. Every single day in the summer, it's like that.
Right.
Every single day. 100,000 people in them beaches.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. Wow. So, you know, even if 50 people out of 100,000 people lose a ring, you're going to find it eventually. Now, that being said, when those beaches get overpopulated and you can't find a place to park, where do they go? They go to the next best thing, a little tiny out-of-the-way beach. That's where I always try to put my mindset in, because now, instead of having 100,000 people on this 5-mile-long beach, you've got a half-mile-long beach that's only 300 feet to the water from the high water mark, and now you've got 1,000 people on it. Well, I don't know about you. I'd rather be hunting that small beach than I would be the big beach. Your chances of finding something are much better.
Yeah, you've just concentrated your potential of finds into a smaller area.
Absolutely. Yep.
You've brought the net in, so to speak.
Yep. Right. And, you know, there were some days earlier this spring, back in February and March, I had multiple days in a row, sometimes twice in one day if I could fit it in, because it is an hour-and-a-half ride, and we have to play the tide. So let's say if our low tide is at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, we got to be there about an hour before so that way we can follow the tide out, hunt that tide, and then up to about 2.5 to 3 hours after. So it gives us about a 4-hour hunt. It's also an hour-and-a-half ride from my house, so now you're almost 5 or 6 hours, and then get back there in time. Usually when I do a double hunt in the same day, I will stay in the area long enough. I'll grab a bite to eat, refresh myself up, wait for the low tide again, and then I'll hunt again. But there were multiple days in a row that I had 40-plus silver dimes or silver coins.
Well,
multiple days.
And you kind of hit it on the head right there, too. Just because you get into one of these areas, you still got to be ready to dig the trash targets, too, because it's going to intensify the number of trash targets as well.
Yep.
But when you make those finds, a lot of times that is translated into time and effort spent in the field.
Absolutely.
You know, when you said 40 silvers,
yep.
Now stop and look how long you were in the field.
Yeah, and that's out of about 250 holes for the day after about 3.5 hours of a hunt, all by myself.
That's a lot of energy and calories burnt.
You got that right.
Absolutely.
And then, add in the fact too, Ken, is, you're out there with these elements. Now, like I said, February, it was really, really cold. You've got that extra bundle of layer of clothing on. You've got your boots, stainless steel. You got your gloves, the rubber gloves that go up around the back of your neck, they're full length rubber gloves. The wind chill factor. It's suddenly, believe it or not, you're almost sweating, believe it or not, even if it's 15 or 20 degrees out.
And that's dangerous.
It is dangerous. You got to really be careful for that hypothermia.
Yeah, because especially in situations like that, as soon as you're starting to feel your fingertips are getting cold or you're starting to shiver, it could already be too late. You need to be very, very careful.
It is too late. If you're feeling it, it is too late.
And I believe it was even you that mentioned you're out hunting in the elements like that. When you're coming up to your truck and you're putting your gear away, you've already got the truck started, the heater going, I
do. Yep. And I jump out of my wetsuit real quick, believe me.
It's the little things that will save you in those conditions. And it's no difference like when I'm up and digging ginseng or whatever. It's just like last year, I screwed up. I didn't have the iodine with me. I got cut. It was a little cut, no big deal, but it tore me up and ruined the rest of my year just about. Just the little stuff that you got to put on the checklist.
That's right.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't take much at all. It's just that little bit of oversight.
Right.
Here's another thing too. I dress in layers. A lot of people, this time of year, as you all well know, once it freezes here, and the same thing in Ohio, I'm sure. Once it freezes, that's the end of our hunt. Now here, being versatile, because we have that water close by, what happens is, I'll switch right over. Now, probably within the next couple of weeks, you'll probably start seeing my posts all water finds. There will be no longer any digging in the dirt anymore until next year. I always put more than I need in the truck. It's always better to be safe than sorry. I carry extra water. Sometimes I'll bring something that might be, have a little of, the electrolytes in them just to keep me going. A little Band-Aids, stuff like that. Just normal things you just don't normally think about all the time.
Yeah, it's better to have it and not need it.
I got caught without a 9-volt battery the other day. I came from down south there a couple of weeks ago when I did the hunt there with them boys.
Yep.
And I thought I came home and unpacked everything. Well, I did. I unpacked it and left it right on my desk, and it's been sitting there ever since until yesterday when I felt like I needed to change my battery in my Garrett carrot from a pinpointer. And so I went back to the truck and thought I had them in there, but guess what? That was a store run. So it happens.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of times it's when you least expect or plan for it. So it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. You need it and don't have it, you'll sing a different tune.
Oh, yeah. And it won't be a pretty tune.
Mm-mm. It'll be the blues.
Yes. Not good.
Yeah. Like, kind of the same song that you sing when you walk on a gold ring.
Speaking of gold rings, it's amazing how fast and how hot the day becomes from 20 degrees to about 70, and like you're sitting in sunny Florida, like Jim down there, when you find one.
Right. Yeah.
In other words, once you find one, all that cold weather, all that really cold wind, that all stuff goes away real quick.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like time stops or something. You don't feel the wind all of a sudden.
No, it goes away.
You don't feel the cold water like you did.
Yeah, it all goes away.
And
Right.
suddenly you feel a bit refreshed.
Oh, I'm digging like a woodchuck after that.
Yeah. It's like, all right, I found one. Where's the next one?
That's right. Right. You know,
Doesn't
here's
have
another thing I don't.
friends.
Here's another thing I don't do. I don't. I mean, I'll stop and I'll look to see what I found, as long as I can satisfy my curiosity enough. But I never sit there. I know people sit there and they'll wipe the coin or they'll look and this that. Not me. When I'm out there and I'm digging and I know there's a lot of stuff going on and a lot of guys with the competition, I'm digging. And that's
right.
all I'm doing. I'm
Plenty
throwing
of
it in
time
my
to check
pouch.
them out later when you get
That's
them.
right.
Right. There
Look
is
at-
a couple. Yeah, you're right. I do the same, but there's always that
That's it.
one piece, though.
Yeah, I
That
know.
one piece that I guess just sit down and stare at it for a minute, and then,
Yeah, you
then I
got
got to shake it off. All right, get back on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Got to get back in the game. Get my head
Well,
back in here.
But I'll throw that thing in the pouch, and like you said, it's like that old Kenny Rogers song there, right? There's always time for counting later on. So I
Yep.
look and I'll throw it in my pouch as long as I can distinguish what it is. It's in the pouch quick. I don't need to find the date. If I know it's a Standing Liberty quarter, it's in the pouch and I'm moving on.
Right.
Where there's one, it's got sisters.
Or at least
Absolutely.
we hope.
Yeah, exactly.
But many times that does tend to be the case.
Right.
Like last week you had hit that seated dime,
Yep.
and then,
Nice find.
Yeah.
probably not even 15, 20 feet later, there's another.
Yeah, I think it was less than that. Yeah, it was like, I think 10 or 12 feet away from the other one. It was, and really far apart in dates, too. I believe the first one was 1856. That was the older one. And the other one was 1889, I think it was.
Wow.
So quite a big difference in dates. And both around the same depth. Ain't that strange?
Well, it goes to show you never know.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I pulled the 1865 2-cent piece there that same day.
Nice.
So
Now, was that about the same depth too?
the 2-center was actually a little bit less. Those seededs were, I'd say, about 9 inches or so, maybe a little less. But the 2-center was only about maybe 8 inches or so. Not much difference, but a little bit. But, I chalked it up to the size of the coin. It takes a little longer for those bigger coins to get down.
That's what I was just going to say. I mean,
Yeah,
you're talking,
lighter.
yeah, as far as surface mass,
Right.
they're a little larger,
Right.
so
And
they may
thicker.
not sink as quick.
Right. Right. Now, had that been up on the beach areas where I normally hunt, they probably both would have been, all of those coins would have been the same depth. They all would have been 10, 12 inches deep out in the sand. Every single one of them. But because we're in the dirt, 2 different animals.
Right. Different
Yeah.
location, different
Yeah.
environment.
Right, exactly. And then you get that decomposition of the leaves and the sand and everything that's blowing around in the dirt, and who knows what people are sometimes the leaves from the guys that do the lawn maintenance blow it in that area. Sometimes they blow it away from that area. So it depends on what happens during the year.
Right.
Over
And, with it being, like, say, for example, the beach environment,
Right.
and like with Jim calling in, talking about the beaches down there in Florida,
yeah.
and you know yourself, you've got plenty of experience beach hunting,
Oh,
the
yeah.
environment is constantly changing.
Oh, from tide to tide. Like he said, 3 days. Here, I have seen a cut happen. We'll hunt it and go back later on that evening, and the whole contour of the place is totally different. It may have moved in a little bit. It may have sanded in a little bit. It might have sometimes it even uncovers a little bit. Sometimes only a couple of feet difference makes the difference whether you find a ring or not. We like to hunt as you're going out to the cut that's out in the beach. We like to hit the part that's closest to the beach inside that cut, because it seems that's where everything always I don't know if we could call it tumble into, but that's where it seems to always want to hit that area for some reason.
Right.
So those are the spots. We always hit the outsides first, then we go into the middle of the cut. Always the outsides. For some reason, that's where everything seems to gather.
Huh.
Strange, yeah. I've been in cuts that have been virgin with a couple of my friends, and boy, I'll tell you, if you're the first one in it, well, you've seen some of the posts over the years, but it's phenomenal.
Really a good time.
It sounds like it sounds like a tale. It sounds like a make-believe story, but it's truth. It's incredible, incredible.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I've seen some of the most beautiful jewelry come out of some of those cuts over the years. Not just by myself, but some of the other guys that have hunted. I've seen some really, really heavy gold chains come out. I've seen one come out in Sandy that Jim was talking about there a season or so ago. I saw one gold chain come out that was over 3 ounces. Huge, huge. Yeah, nice big gold chain. Antique, too. That's why it was so much of a favorite. That's probably the best chain I've ever seen come out of there. It is the best chain.
And that's why we love this hobby.
Oh, my God. I will say I was envious of that one, I got to admit. I wish I had found it. It's gorgeous. I did get to fondle it for a few minutes, but when he kept putting it in my hand and there was no end to it, I want to say it was over 36 inches long. It was huge.
Wow.
Yeah, what a beautiful antique. Whoever had it, I think actually maybe, you know how some of the girls wear them as waist, like almost like around their waist?
Oh, yeah.
Let the extra piece hang down. I think it was so long that I believe that maybe someone had it around their neck doubled. That's what I believe. It was doubled around their neck. It was really thick, too. It was over 3 ounces. I asked them the next day, I said, how much did it weigh? He said, it was over 3 ounces. That's crazy.
A heck of a loss for
crazy.
someone.
Yeah, and, I believe my friend, another friend, not the same guy, found the bezel that went to it the day before he found the chain because we were fairly close to it. And that one was actually a 22-carat bezel that had a palm tree and a ship in the center of it. It looked like a cutaway coin. It was beautiful and thick.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it had a huge, huge loop on the top of it. And that's the only thing that I can imagine would have fit through that chain. The chain would have went through it. That's the only thing I can think of. It was big. And I think that was actually over 1 ounce of gold, too.
It'd be like wearing a hood ornament.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it was crazy. That was a heck of a
look for the person with the hung low neck, got back trouble.
Yeah, exactly. Stooped over from all the weight.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to show that bling off, but man, I don't know if I'd be wanting to wear that stuff in the water. I'd be too afraid.
Right.
Anchor.
Yeah, pretty much. And in fact, it was an anchor chain. I mean, a real anchor chain, not like the ones you see today. It looked like something off of a Navy destroyer. You know those links that they have on the Navy boats? That's what it looked like. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Man.
That thing had to have been just massive.
Yeah, it was big. It was over 36 inches long. It was huge. Like I said, I was envious. And can you tell I'm still envious?
Yeah, I certainly would be.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the guy doesn't hunt that much there either. He used to years ago, but he just started to get back into the hobby there the last couple of years. And, well, hey, he found it. He swung over it, so that's all that counts. Well, somebody found it. Better to have it found than sitting there in the water doing nothing. So,
yeah, absolutely. Kudos to him. But
absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's something else, man. That'd be one heck of a find for sure.
Oh, yeah.
There again, that's another one of those finds where that'd probably been the end of my hunt.
Oh, well, and he kept going. I think he ended up with a few more rings, too, that day. He had a really good day that day.
Yeah. There are those days that you look back on and go, man, that when you got up and went out there that you didn't have a clue what was going to happen.
Right.
And then when you get home, you sit there and say, I could write an article on today.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Did this really just happen? Yep, there it is.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or,
Well,
or
I'll
a
tell you.
month, or a month in general, like when spring hits, you're waiting, and you finally get out there and you have that 1 month that just, tears it up.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
It was quite the season, I will say that. One of the best ones I ever had over the years of my career.
Well, and you've certainly had some.
I had a good year
nice
this year
seasons.
too.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I had a very good year this year.
Yeah, and even in the chat, there's been a number of the listeners in there that they've had a great year too. Number of
absolutely.
bucket list finds or firsts, and not even necessarily newcomers to the hobby. These may have been people they've been in it for quite a while and just happened to be lucky enough to run across that item they haven't found yet.
On that old bucket list they have, just checking them off.
That's right.
Sometimes that's a good point. His two thoughts on a bucket list. I'm not sure how people have their perspective of a bucket list, and here's my perspective anyway. This is just my own opinion. In order to create a bucket list, I think you have to be in the hobby for a little bit of time, let's just say. A lot of people will come in and they'll be new to the hobby and they'll go, "Oh, I found a Stand Liberty quarter. That was one of my bucket lists."
Right,
Well,
at that
if you've
point,
only-
everything's a bucket list.
Thank you. Exactly my point. Right. Now, that's one end of the bucket list. Then you also have things that are in your bucket or bucket list that you don't realize are in your bucket list. Take the cat
until
bus
you
$half
actually
I
find
had
them.
today. Right. I had that cat bus $half 1833 this year that I found. I didn't even know I had that on my bucket list until I found it. When I got it, I said, "Oh my God." Here's something, I didn't realize that, okay, I've never found one of those before. That's fantastic. So,
And it could
until you
just be
find
as
it-
simple as, when you find that item, and it's
Right.
like, wow, I can't believe it. Maybe you just thought, oh yeah, like I'm ever gonna find one of them.
Right, exactly. So that's my perspective on a bucket list. I don't know about how Kenny feels or how you feel, but I just find it. I don't want to say it irritates me, but I just don't.
My
see how
bucket
people
list is more of where I'm hunting, not what I'm finding.
Okay.
I would love to set up at Antietam somewhere with permission and be able to camp out, or Gettysburg or something. Those are bucket list spots that I want to set foot on. I've been fortunate to go to Vicksburg and Shiloh and the ones down here and stuff like that. But when you reach on kind of out of my realm into some of the other locations, to me, that's the bucket list for me, is just to be there where it all happened, sit down and think about it for a little bit, do the research the day before you go, and kind of get in the zone. And that's how I look at it.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. It's not just an item that could be a bucket list. It could be just an area that you want to hunt is a bucket list. That's a good point.
That's true.
Absolutely.
And it looks like Tam announced our winner in the chat.
Let's hear it.
And I do believe that our winner from the chat was Barbara.
Yay!
So congratulations to her.
Yes, indeed.
Which, not sure what she won, because, Olsen, so
'Cause
we
you're
had this
not
set up
gonna
as a little
tell.
bit of surprises. So maybe I'll send her a message and let her know, or maybe we'll just wait for her to receive that item and get a picture of it.
There you go.
That'd
Anticipation.
be great. Yeah, put that on the website. I'd like to see it myself.
Yeah. So, another fun night of information. Covered some topics. Looks like the chat was quite busy.
Good,
A lot of
good.
people in the chat. Definitely good to see. And, good times with friends and extended family of the Beyond Sight and Sound listeners.
Indeed.
Certainly can't beat that at all. And, like Leighton said, there's one more day.
One more day. I wonder if I'll find a few more Indians to wrap it up. We'll see.
Well, I bet you tomorrow night, well, let's say before all the getting ready to go out stuff happens, if you do go out and dig tomorrow, why not post your last find of the year?
That's a good one.
Yep.
I will.
That's true. I know a couple of years ago, my last find of my last hunt of the year was my find of the year.
Outstanding.
So you never know when it's going to come in. You definitely never know. That next great find could be just around the corner. In that next plug.
Dig it all.
Not over there, but under the coil. And that's a good way to look at it, because like Leighton said, like we've said before, treasure is where you find it. You've always got to be looking for it, but it's always under the coil. You just got to, give yourself time. Understand the settings of your machine. Get to know it. Get to understanding what it's trying to tell you. Don't overcomplicate it.
I know what it was telling me today. Go home early.
and just
oh man,
relax and have fun with it. See what you find. You could just surprise yourself. So we'll post some more details about the giveaway that I posted in the group tonight in the coming day or two. And you can also look forward to hearing some more on the other little giveaway we've got brewing up that should be in the nicer weather, June sometime.
Yes.
Maybe July. Still narrowing things down.
Yep.
Should be a good time, though, for those interested.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm interested. It's going to be a great time.
So basically, let's just go over it real quick before we end the show here. I know, just real quick, going to throw this out there. We're going to take 100 people, assign a number to them, each person. At the end of the 100 people, so you're going to want to get in there before the end of the 100. The 100 is going to be the cutoff. So basically, you'll have 1 in 100 chances to win the fishing trip. This is the way it's going to work. After that, we're going to do a random number picker 8 times. So if your number comes out after the 8th time, you'll be the winner of the fishing trip. How's that sound, Josh?
That sounds great. And that makes it truly random.
That's it. Doesn't get any better than that. If you win after the 8th time with a random number, you deserve
it.
So.
Yeah, you definitely earned it, so to speak.
Right. So
we'll see what happens. If we hit our cap, great. If we only get 50, well,
then your chances are even better. So
yeah,
we'll go from there.
See what happens. Definitely. For everybody that's tuned in, though, thanks for dropping by. Congrats to our winner in the chat tonight. Still one more day left in the year. If you can get out and hunt, get those few extra finds under your belt. Hopefully you had a great year, and may the 2016 season be better. Or at least just as good. But more importantly, get out there, continue to enjoy the hobby, and do it the right way. So,
Absolutely.
with that in mind, you know the drill, folks. If you liked the show, enjoyed the chat, rate the channel, throw us the stars, yada, yada, yada. Keeps giveaways coming. Kenny, would you like to take us out?
All I got to say is get out there and dig it all, baby.
There you go. We'll be back next year. We'll see you, folks.
Catch you later. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.